Hello everyone, in this video we're going to have a look at how combat and behavior works in Easy Template Kit RPG. So here we are in our main scene. So this is a combat only scene, just makes it slightly easier. So in this last update you will see that we have separate behavior graphs. We have core behavior and core behavior guard. So core behavior is all of the just combat basically for an arena type mode like we're doing here. And then the guard behavior has the exact same combat stuff. It's literally the same combat stuff. The only thing that's different is that this is more of a normal character. So he'll walk around, he'll guard, he'll do proper animations for drawing his weapons, really, you know, a bit prettier, things like that. But other than that, the combat is identical, there's no difference. So the way this combat graph works, and as you can see, it's actually really simple, really basic graph. That's because one, we do use some subgraphs, and two, we have a group manager that actually tells each character when to attack. And I'll explain that in a bit. So first off, if you're not really familiar with how behavior works in terms of orders, number one, when you have a selector, number one is always first, then two, then three, and then four, etc. But it can only run one if the task condition is met, and in this case the condition is that is true. He's not dead, so it won't run. But it does mean that when that is true, everything else will stop and this will take over, and that's the whole point. So it can't run one, so it's going to run two, which is is a melee weapon equipped, yes or no. Now depending on which type you select for the enemies, so if I show you here, we have different designs. That has nothing to do with it, it just looked nice, but basically depending on the design I selected a type. Now the type actually manages their combat behavior and which weapon they're using, but it has nothing to do with design. I just manually changed that. So you can have multiple enemies with the exact same attack behavior with different designs, of course. So depending on which type is typed in here by you, it will then draw a specific weapon. So we have three different types of weapons here, and it will then draw that weapon. So it's going to draw it, so that means this condition is no longer met, and then we're going to the actual combat. Now the actual combat is all bool based, as you can see. So is stunned, is done, is moving, and is attacking. So those are actually the states. There's a little ragdoll here as well for the magic attacks, but I'm pretty sure that could actually just be included here, to be completely fair. So these are the main bools, and these bools are set not by the behavior graph itself, but they are set by this script below it. So as you can see, we have an enemy character script, and this is actually what is setting those states, well, most of them anyway. The is dead, is moving, and is attacking. Is stunned and is done, as you can see, all they really do, if I open this up, is they set attacking to false, and that's it. That's actually all it does. Doesn't really do anything else. There's a reason I have these two separately, because is done and is stunned. So is stunned is used for finishers, for counters, and then is done is simply when they stop attacking. So finishers and counters has to supersede this. So there's a reason behind it. So yeah, this script is getting that information from the group manager. So this one turns on in this scene, and the group manager, you can basically, or enemy manager, you can set your radius. So, you know, 10 is quite big actually, and then within that radius of its middle point, it will gather all of the tags and add them to the list, and then it will make sure that only one of the characters will have the is attacking bool set to on, when that character has his bool set to on, the other characters will have it set to is moving. If is dead is on, the group manager will actually remove this enemy from the list, and it will no longer be part of the pool, because that's quite important as well, making sure they can be removed from the pool. And that is actually quite simply done by also changing the tag to dead, which the behavior graph does, and then it can no longer be scanned either. But we also have to make sure it cleans up that list that is created in runtime by the script, and it will do that by is that is on, and then it will be cleaned up. So all the script really does is set these states. We can add some additional instructions. So as you can see here, if is attacking is on, we're actually going to be running as well instead of walking around for the enemies. So it makes it a bit faster for them to attack. And then on is dead, I'm actually also disabling the behavior graph entirely. For performance, because as you can see, it's updating every frame, loops forever. But if the character is dead, it will actually disable this entirely. Improves performance. So that behavior graph that script will make sure there's only one character attacking at the same time. Now, in case you're thinking like that's not really fun, it actually is how a lot of AAA games do it. So the Batman Arkham games were quite famous for this, the Spider-Man games, but even Assassin's Creed Odyssey, for example, Valhalla. I never even realized they had a behavior like this until I booted up the game for research on this, and then played arena mode, quite similar to this scene here, and then I just walked around, and I realized, oh, it's exactly the same as Batman Arkham, only one character is attacking at the same time, but it switches up really fast, so that's why you don't really notice unless you're purposely trying to not attack and avoid the enemies. And then you realize that it's actually a really basic behavior. So the enemy types as well, and again, this is taken from AAA games, so it's not my own inspiration. I just never really realized it until I started playing to analyze what they're doing instead of just playing for fun. So the basic type 1 will only, when they attack, so the way it works for attacking, by the way, let me explain that properly. So if attacking is set to true, if they're too far, they'll go to the player. If they're if this is no longer met, so they're close enough, they will then attack. Now, what type of attack they will do depends on the type. So the basic enemy will just hit once, then is done is set to true after 1 second. Now this attack takes a bit longer than 1 second, so that means the switch up, because if you remember, is done will set is attacking to off, so then the group manager will tell another enemy to start attacking. As you can see here, is done and is stunned. They do the same thing. So after 1 second, so the attack animation isn't finished yet, someone else will come and go attack. So it actually mixes up quite fast. That's why it's quite hard to notice that only one enemy attacks at the same time, unless you really pay attention to it. If you think it's too slow, so I didn't make it incredibly fast in the demo either, you can just change the time here, make it shorter, and then they'll change up faster, making it even harder to notice, but also making it harder to play. You run the risk of it becoming literally like Batman Arkham, where you just counter the entire time, you don't never really attack. But yeah, that's up to you. If you think it's too fast, you can increase the time. So basically that's how it works. So the other type of enemy will do a combo instead of just a single attack, and then set itself to done as well. And then the third enemy, it actually has multiple attack patterns. So these are the same, but then this one, it will do an unblockable attack, which breaks your shield, and he becomes invincible for a short amount of time as well. As you can see, he will glow red slightly, just like the character does on Barry. He will glow white. And yeah, that's basically how it works. So really simple attack patterns, but again, actually inspired by how AAA games do it. So really complex is not always the better solution. But yeah, in this case, we really needed a external group manager telling everyone what to do. And again, I'm not doing that because it's my idea. I'm doing that because that's how other games handle it, and it was just a great inspiration. I didn't know how to do that with only the behavior module, so that's why I created this additional group manager script. Because you can't do this within one behavior graph. You need something external to tell each character what to do. The reason you can't do it within the same graph is because all of these enemies use that graph. So yes, theoretically you could maybe create another graph that then controls all the other graphs. This group manager just made it much easier. So yeah, if you want to do it with just Game Creator, I'll be honest, I'm sure it's possible. I just don't really know how you would do it. But yeah, it's you know, that's why I created this group behavior. Short story. So for the player, I'll skip over most things because a lot of the things are just regular combat stuff. The only thing I'll pay a tiny bit of attention to is the focus. In case you're wondering how that works. So we've got soft lock and we've got hard lock. What that really means is if you hard lock, so middle mouse button, you're going to hard lock on the closest character. That will remain, you'll remain locked to him basically. If you attack and you press the movement buttons at the same time, you will attack towards the direction you're pointing at with the movement buttons. And then basically you'll soft lock onto that character just for that short period of the actual attack. You're going to be you know, locked to him, if you see. So yeah, here, but it's only during the attack, so when you run you're not locking on anything. If you're not pressing the movement buttons, another thing, so if you're when you attack, left mouse attack, if you're not pressing the movement buttons, you'll automatically lock on the closest character to you, again just during that attack. I took this from Assassin's Creed as well. I was playing some Assassin's Creed and realized that when I'm pressing the buttons, it will do it the direction that I'm pressing, sort of, you know, it will still prioritize whoever's closest, but you have some input direction control on the lock. If you're not pressing at all, it will just automatically turn to the closest character. So again, taking inspiration from existing games for this. And then yeah, I'll briefly mention it on dash. The player is actually invincible for 0.2 seconds. The reason why is because these enemies soft lock as well. They're not just going to, you know, constantly miss you. And because your character collider doesn't change while you're dashing, your animation does, but the collider doesn't, it was too easy to still get hit while ever you were dashing. It just became really annoying. So for 0.2 seconds, really short amount of time, you become invincible for attacks. So yeah, that's a brief run through of how the group behavior worked. I thought it was worth pointing on that. So thanks for watching everyone, and I'll see you in the next one.